What's going on, guys, and welcome back to DSG. And in this video we're going to be talking about top 5 tips I have for you guys. 4 of them are going to be pretty much for everyone, and one of them is going to be more of an end game tip for you guys. But by all means, some of these, if you're more of an early game player and you're kind of new, in general, Showdown is going to be a more difficult game mode for you to play, just because, you know, does require you to have a pretty large roster. Luckily, the first 2 rounds are pretty welcoming. I would say going 3-3-3-2, but the following rounds go 5-5, 4-4, and then 6-6. So it gets a little more difficult, and it caters towards more of the more expansive and end game players who have a larger roster towards the end of the season. Nonetheless, hopefully I can help you guys get the best possible results with these 5 tips. So tip number 1 is going to be in the exchange, get as much energy as you can possible in the club exchange and also the tournament exchange. You know, in the tournament exchange, there's no one really that is going to be make it or break it for you in terms of getting energy and potions for the showdown. So by all means, I would say at least maybe once or twice a day, get as much stamina potions as you can here, and it's gonna only cost you, I think, 1,400 because it's 700 each attempt. By all means, you know, you're not gonna be getting like an Ursula here, you're not gonna be getting like any other super high-end character here, so I would definitely suggest for you to definitely get the potions here when needed. And in the club exchange, it's 500, so it feels even a little bit cheaper, and you get a lot more abundance of the potions in here. And if you're questioning you should buy it in here, if you're buying Kristoff tokens, if you're buying any other character tokens here, I think we need to kind of look deep down inside and realize maybe I should be playing this game a different way and not question buying stamina potions in here. That's my biggest tip. Number 1 is going to be using your club coins and also your tournament tokens and spending them to get those stamina potions, especially from a more free-to-play community. This is going to be a very important place for you guys to really try and get an edge, is to buy as much stamina potion as possible in order for you to perform well during Showdown. Now, tip number 2, stones are so important, because the biggest thing I see is that I literally have the exact same roster. There are several times where I saw a lot of people using, you know, Madam Mim, Quora, Merlin, Maurice, and maybe like a Fred or something like that as another tank, or as the tank, and none of them would have a stone, or maybe one of them, and it wouldn't be what I would consider the right stone. In Showdown, you have a limited amount of turns. I think it's like 50. The turns are fewer than regular PvP, and I can feel the difference. I really can feel the difference. So with the fewer turns, you have to be fast in order to really get all of the damage you can out and make sure that you are able to maintain a good, you know, amount of characters still alive, because of course you want to maximize points. But Speedstones are super important, and because the accelerators that you have on these characters, just put on a level 1 Speedstone. I know, you know, it takes time to accumulate them, but this is the best time to spend them. And luckily, you know, just take them off your other characters if you have Speedstones on them, these chip pieces, because it doesn't cost anything to remove them, and you just snap them on and snap them off when you're done and put them back on your regular characters. It's a really simple thing to do, and these Speedstones are going to be super beneficial for you in terms of turn order when you're going against someone, especially when they don't have Speedstones. You're going to get an automatic level 3 Speedstone plus their tier 8 speed boost that they have naturally. You're going to be able to blow out the competition, and for me, I believe it was the defining factor in several battles when my characters were easily having more and more turns compared to my opponent, and it made the battles really in my favor overall. So that's I think one of the biggest mistakes, and the biggest tip I can definitely give you guys: do not look over the stones, because they're going to really be, in my opinion, the make or break for you guys, because this course turn order with honestly really bad characters, even though they're geared up high, is going to be one of the biggest factors in order for you to, you know, do well in Showdown. My third tip here is going to be rotating your teams. So, you know, if you were able to get the base characters, you know, Cruella, Wally, Eve, you know, not very attainable for many people, and to prove to people who always think that I'm like a whale or something in this game, look at my Cruella, look at my Eve, look at my Wally. Like, just because you're a content creator, just because, you know, I have a large gem stockpile from doing Tapjoy games and whatnot, and maybe doing some offers here and there. I really hoard my materials. That's what I do. So it's just kind of to make a point there for people who just consider and always ask me on stream, like, why aren't you using this team, or don't you have this character? It's like, no, I like, just because you're a content creator doesn't mean you're a whale. Anyways, like I was saying earlier, the typical team that I usually see is going to be like a Fred, Merlin, Maurice, Madame Mim, like a Quora, or even a Sally. But you're going to have to really make some other team setups in order to actually spread out your rosters. So what I would do is, this rotation was very, for me, tank heavy. I mean, you had Jangles, you had Quasi, you had Fred, Manticore, Hopper. It was like literally half tanks and the rest some offense and a lot of support. So you really had to kind of spread out your teams. So what I would do is, because really your offensive characters, from my understanding, and I just gotta double check with Sally, she is an offensive character. I thought she was support. But your offensive characters are gonna be up here, these three, then you have your supports, these three, sorry, offense is 5. So it's split half and half, sorry. little shaken up because I really thought Sally was a support character. Anyways, you're gonna have to really sometimes use double tanking and maybe even triple tanking if you really had to push it. But the good part is, someone like a Fred kind of acts like an offensive tank, so not to the extent of Beast, but he can take some damage, but he can also give some damage. And yes, I do have health stones on these guys. Why do I have health stones on these guys? Because they're already there, and it costs like, I don't know, I forget how much, like 50 or 100,000 to take them off. So I'm not in the mood to take them off right now. I'd rather keep them on there and just utilize what I have. But everyone else has a speed zone on them. What you're gonna do is, you're gonna have to maybe, you know, throw in that Olaf and throw in the Manticore and throw in your Balloon, throw in your Jangles more often than you want to in order to spread it out. Like what I like to do is, unfortunately I can't see it right now, but when the event is active, it'll show you, you know, 0 out of 10. That's just like how many times you use the character when you're trying to choose which characters are going to battle. And I make sure that everyone is on the same level. Like, remember, I try to make sure that, okay, once everyone's been used once, then they can reuse them again. That's kind of the tactic used in terms of rotating the characters, because I want to make sure that everyone gets used evenly. Because what happened the first time was that I was using characters, the first round at least, I was relying on the best team. And relying on the best team, what happens there is that, okay, you're gonna use them, and then the refreshes get too expensive, so you end up not using them. Then you go to a really scrum team, and then you're kind of out of it. You gotta make sure that you're using, you know, a rotation of characters, because my go-to team here, in honesty, would have been this Fred, Merlin, Maurice, Mim, and Quora, and then probably a secondary team would be like a Quasimodo, a Scar, a Sally, a Manticore, and a Pete. And then you're left with Baloo, Jangles, Hopper, and Olaf. What you're gonna have to do is, hey, you know, you're probably gonna have to take out maybe Maurice and put in Hopper in a rotation, or maybe take out Scar and put in a Pete in there, for instance. So it's gonna be a really strategic choice. Don't put your best characters on one team. You can maybe put like 2 or 3 to ensure that you're going to be able to at least perform well, but you're going to have to, you know, put the crap with the cream and try and mix them together to make a lukewarm or decently good team. And that's just really part of how Showdown works is, you know, they take characters you're not generally going to use in PvP, put them in the same arena, and the cream of the crap from before is now totally the best characters, and the crap from before become mediocre to decent characters. So that's kind of the beauty of Showdown, is that you're going to have to mix and match these teams in a way that, you know, you don't focus and run out of teams, because even if you do attempts with characters, you're not going to win, and winning is the biggest part of this in order to do well and get the big time rewards. And this brings us to our 4th tip, and that's going to be full clearing. As you can see here are the bonuses that you get with completing battles. You get 2,000 points. With winning a battle, you get 5,000. Defeating characters, 400. Surviving characters, 200. So the extra 200 points per surviving character in the long run is going to enable you to have a higher chance of eating out your competition, because even if, you know, it's just 200 points every single time, that's 1,000 points. And if you do maybe 5 rounds, that's 5,000 points, and that can really help you bolster into the next category. So getting full clears and trying to get your character survive as much as possible is going to be a really key thing to do, and that has everything to do with properly rotating your characters and making sure, in my opinion, you have those speed stones up, because without those speed stones, the level 1 speed stones that get bolstered up, you're kind of at a loss, because again, the rotation matters. So I know this is a hard thing to do, getting a full clear every single time. You know, I don't have a perfect record in Showdown, but I wish I did. For me, what a full clear is, everyone survives on your team, and obviously you win the battle and clear out everyone on the other team. So a full clear is just super important, because the extra 200 points that you get is going to be super essential. And again, I know it's going to be a difficult one for you to do. Everyone's going to have a difficult time doing this. And now, my final tip for you guys is going to be more of an end game tip, and it's going to be to try and maximize your spells. As you go on, once you defeat Tower 5 and kind of do the towers every day, whether it's VIP or if you climb up every day, get those tower points, get the spell coins, you'll be able to obviously get the spell packs and get these spells up there. With the bolstering, the spells automatically go to level 3. But with promoting them to level 4, that's where it's pretty key. And that's where I think you're going to be able to, you know, choose the best spells. So for instance, like Clock Tower. And of course, there we go, classic DSA, Clock Tower. Clock Tower level 4 is actually going to give you a pretty big edge. 50% chance to use Midnight Countdown by 1 turn. This can make a big difference. I actually use Clock Tower a lot, like in PvP, and just for fun. And when it hits, and that 50%, for me it feels a little higher than 50%, but when it does hit, it hits and it can do wonders for you, because once they attack, they polymorph, and then you kind of get a one round of breathing room. Another spell here in the selection that we have this round is going to be this spell, Blue Fairy Magic, guaranteed to apply harmful immunity if no harmful effects are present. Because with these characters here, you have like Madam Mim, you have Scar, you have Sally, all these guys can do some harmful effects to you, and Jangle's another one, good example too. So to try and prevent those harmful attacks from coming to a certain character, maybe it's going to be like your core, you're trying to protect her, or maybe a tank, for instance, to make sure that they're strong when they're protecting you and taking all the damage. This can kind of come in handy when they have a guaranteed to apply harmful immunity when there's no harmful effects present. This is going to be another one you can decide on is Splash Mountain, because you decrease the magic of all abilities by 1 on the primary target opponent. So it could be one that could end up being pretty helpful if you wanted to with Splash Mountain. So this is, I think, one of the best things you can do as more of an end game player is kind of review the spells that are out here and realize, okay, maybe which one should I go for, and maybe which one should I go past level 4. That's going to be my final tip for you guys. Hopefully that these tips were helpful for you guys in understanding different strategies and what kind of goes through more of like an end game player's mind when looking at Showdown, because it is a new game mode, and I think we're all just kind of running with our heads off, like trying to figure out the right strategies and whatnot, and it's fun. And hopefully, you know, this was helpful for you, and hopefully if you share this with your friends or your club, it'll be helpful for them as well. That's gonna be it, guys, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Have a good one.